Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 171. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Isley
Yo.
and Messiah.
Hello.
And another light week in news. We'll go ahead and start off things with the fact that, and I forgot this was even happening, but Star Wars Jedi Survivor finally has a release date for the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game. I totally spaced on the fact that they delayed it. Or that
I thought they canceled those.
Yeah, I know. I was like, when they announced this, I was like, wait, they were coming? I totally blanked it out of my memory. But yeah, September 17th is when they're supposed to come out, and I'm really curious how they're going to perform, especially on base Xbox One consoles, because I mean, even on Series and PS5, like there were some spots in the game that had some issues, especially at launch. Obviously, they've patched it since then, so things are improved. But I'm curious how that's going to translate to Xbox One and PS4.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. So yeah, anybody who hasn't played that game yet, go ahead and jump in. It was a fun game. Then we also got the announcement of Doom and Doom 2 enhanced versions, some brand new episodes and more. So QuakeCon 2024 has started. It's funny because like I think QuakeCon happened last year, but like typically news never comes out of QuakeCon. Like not a whole lot. Like because especially once Bethesda got acquired by Microsoft, they don't really do like the big announcements at QuakeCon. It happens at Xbox's showcases at like the E3s or the Jeff Keighley showcases and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they said that Doom 2 are getting new visual versions. Gonna have some new levels. It'll be both the classics. It'll include Doom 64, Quake as well, and Quake 2, which had came out actually not that long ago on their original release versions. These will be nice enhancements. But it'll have co-op support up to 16 players, team deathmatch, cross-platform play and what have you. New map pack for deathmatch, including 25 maps. That's interesting. But yeah, just online 16-player multiplayer. I remember that was like a game in high school in the computer lab. We used to play that like all the time, especially because you could just make your own maps. And eventually we replaced it with Duke Nukem 3D because it was just like I think easier to make maps in, and it was also like more weapons and what have you. But we used to play Doom multiplayer all the time back in high school, which was insane that they let us do that in that classroom.
Wait, you played it like in high school?
Yeah, like during lunch we would go to the computer lab and
That's
just
so fun.
boot up Doom, and the teacher was totally cool with it, and then we would just play Doom, and then again Duke Nukem later. Like
that teacher must have been a fan because there's no other way that's happening.
Yeah,
the teacher was just was wishing they could do it too, but
yeah.
I had in high school. We didn't have the computer lab, but I had a teacher. He was my English teacher, I think, but he also taught debate. He had 2 computers and an Xbox in the back of his classroom, and so we would just go in his classroom and play during lunch.
Yeah. And apparently, if you've already owned Doom or Doom 2, the because again they have re-released those on consoles previously, you get the upgrade for free. So, and I saw the trailer. It's like, okay, I mean, they say new enhancements, and it's like it still looks like Doom. It's not like necessarily that
right.
enhanced. Obviously, it could be stuff like, oh, it's textures that don't look bad if you render them at like 4K and what have you, at higher frame rates and whatnot. So, but yeah, the multiplayer sounds. I'm curious how active that'll be. That could be a fun little like no stats. There's no. I don't think there's player IDs above the heads of the enemies or the other players, so it's just like go in and just shoot. Could be fun, but
just a good old school like nostalgic shooter experience.
Yeah. And the other bit of news here is that the Arcane co-founder Rafael Colantonio has announced a new game with WolfEye Studios. It's a first-person action role-playing game, which he says will make fans of Dishonored and Prey, quote, feel at home. It's an unnamed project, so there's no name for the title, but he was teasing this like a few days prior to this announcement, and then they officially like, hey, working on this new game, yada yada. They released a couple screenshots. Can't really learn much from it, but and it's going to be obviously a ways away. It's probably not going to be till 2025 until they start getting early alphas and whatnot. But yeah, their website says, quote, "We are so happy to be able to officially confirm that our next game is actively in production and that it is a first-person action RPG. Fans of the past game," and then he continues saying, "Fans of the past games I've been involved with, such as Dishonored and Prey, will feel at home, as well as fans of RPGs in general. While we look for the right publishing partners, our sights are firmly set on getting our community involved with the game's development with limited private alpha in 2025. We cannot wait for fans to see what we are working on." It's always exciting when a creator of or someone involved in, some of the popular games of a studio that's now, of course, no longer with us. But I'll be interested to see how this does and how it turns out. Because
I mean, it's obviously a good time for it just because of Arcane and everything that happened. And I love Dishonored and Prey. So a game coming out after closures at Arcane that fills that void would be great. I hope it does well and feels good too.
yeah, I hope it does, because we've talked about kind of the track record of spiritual successors and how they're kind of hit and miss with like Mighty Number 9, and then you have things like Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, which Curse of the Moon, was that the NES throwback one? Or was that the main one? Because they did have a little 8-bit one.
Yeah, I think Curse of the Moon was the throwback. I think, what was it, Ritual of the Night? Maybe?
Ritual of the Night, yes, there it is. Ritual of the Night was the one. Like that did really well, like positively received. And then you have stuff like, obviously, we talked about like Evil Within, kind of like a spiritual successor to RE4 and those kind of games. I don't think the first one did necessarily super well when it came out. It's kind of a funky time, I think, but like I like those games. So yeah, I'm curious like how much is going to be like Dishonored and Prey.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're fucking horrible. I hope it's like Dishonored and Prey, but I feel like Dishonored and Prey have a very unique, they really have a unique feel to them, and I think that's going to be challenging to capture.
Yeah, the screenshots they show look cool, but it's like they look more like concept shots, not necessarily, obviously not in game because they don't have an engine. But it looks interesting. Like it can kind of set the tone with kind of concept work and whatnot. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how it does. And yeah, it could be, could release at a time where there's not much like it and in that genre, and it just does really well. So we'll see. The next bit I saw is that, so there's a game, I don't think we ever talked about it. I always had it on my notes, but I never brought it up. But it was called Kingmakers. It was announced a while ago. It's like a kind of like an Army of Darkness situation where like a modern person goes back to like medieval times, but you have like all your guns and you could get like a helicopter, and so you're just fighting people on horses, knights on horses, but you have like weaponry. It's like Doom, I guess. But it looks really funny and kind of interesting. I was like, this looks like it could be a fun time. But apparently it's getting a live action film adaptation. And I'm like, what? Like, a game's not even out yet, but it's already getting an adaptation. I'm like,
that
okay.
has big, like, the Monster Hunter movie vibes. That's what it feels like to me. I feel like that's what it's going to look like.
Like, I guess if they embrace kind of the campiness of that idea and, kind of like, even more so than like the Black Knight with Martin Lawrence, where he goes back to medieval times, like, and just make it silly. But I guess if they include more, like, again, that Army of Darkness, like there's evil sorcerer or something, and like there is some magic there, so that it's like modern weaponry against like the magic users, and like skeletons again are very Army of Darkness, I suppose, just with more weapons. I guess it could be good, like, because again, the game looks really fun. Like, it silly concept, but like this could be really entertaining. Like, just again, modern weaponry against medieval weaponry. It just seems like you're going to be OP as shit, especially when you get an attack helicopter. But
until you get like a hail of arrows shot at you or something. Yeah, it's only going to work if they lean into the, like you said, the campiness. If they make it silly, and if it's a little, a little self-aware, but not too like, not over the top goofy, it could be a very fun idea. It's just, I immediately think of that like first movie screenshot of the Monster Hunter movie where it's like they're getting chased by a Rathalos, but the guy has like an AR-15 or something. It's just like, what's happening here?
Yeah, and obviously there's no release date for the film, but yeah, it's I'll be really curious to see how it does. It's got to be like, if you're going to announce a film for something like this, it's probably going to be lower budget. you know, it's not like a big studio's picking this up or something. So, but yeah, it just a silly announcement I saw, but it helped me at least talk about Kingmakers again. I always forgot to bring it up, like multiple weeks in a row. I'd be like, damn it, I forgot to talk about Kingmakers, because like it wasn't reported on by like IGN or other sites right away. So I was like, okay, I need to remember to talk about this. So that could be interesting. And then the last bit of news, kind of a unfortunate, again sticking with the theme of closures, but Ready at Dawn, Meta shut them down. They're just closed, and I'm like, which just seems so weird. Like, you couldn't try to, like, if they're a VR studio, you couldn't try to like talk to Sony and see if maybe Sony wants to pick them up to make PSVR 2 stuff, but it's just like, yeah, it sucks. Like they were a big VR developer. Obviously, they did the Order 1886 back in the day, but yeah, they shut them down. So
the unfortunate truth is the people making these decisions aren't really worried about, the sustainability of, or not the sustainability, but the life of the studio, and maybe giving them to somebody who wants to have VR games and stuff like that. They're just looking at this like, this is something that we can cut so that I can keep my salary, and they cut it without any consideration of like, hey, maybe we can sell this to somebody, or maybe they can go somewhere else and continue making games. It's just like, could not care less. They're just like, just cut it. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm. And the two games that Lone Echo and Lone Echo 2, like, are really good VR titles. Like, they're reviewed really well. And it's like, you couldn't just have to make a, I don't think, but it's just, again, and we'll see. Like, I'd be curious to see if that VR expertise, they could, if Sony does poach some of those folks to bring them on to their studios that are doing VR titles. But yeah, it sucks. They're joining, all those other studios that have closed down this year.
Kind of a shame. I mean, they did a lot of good, like, smaller games or spin-offs and things, but yeah, I guess I can't think of anything they did since the Order.
Well, that's all it was. After the Order, they started developing VR titles for the Oculus. They did 2017 was when Lone Echo came out, and 2021 was when Lone Echo 2. So they haven't done anything since then, but they were both good titles. So yeah, it's just like, and I would have loved to see, like, again, we talked about this before, but like, there's no room for improvement of a franchise anymore. Like, you can't do the Uncharted to Uncharted 2 or the Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 thing, because like the Order, I like the Order, and it wasn't for everybody, obviously. They went very hard in their creative vision for how it looked and how it played, the ultra widescreen, 24 FPS, what have you, and very linear. But I like the world that they built, and it's like, I would have loved to see, like, okay, what worked, what didn't in a sequel, and iterate on it and kind of take some of that player feedback and whatnot of what people didn't like and do a second one. But they just, like, obviously Sony wasn't gonna. I mean, that was, I felt like, in development for probably so long that Sony just wasn't, they weren't owned by Sony, but Sony probably wasn't going to fund another one. That's why they went over to work with Oculus, start doing it in VR. But yeah, just unfortunate.
Yep.
But and then yeah, other than that, it's, again, not a whole lot of news. Like I said, nothing crazy out of QuakeCon. I know with D23, whatever's going on, the only thing gaming out of there is they announced, like, oh, the Disney films are coming to Fortnite. And I'm like, okay, there you go, sure. I mean, you're having, like,
movie.
All the, yeah, well, yeah, they have that. No
That's
trailer.
the only thing I care about.
That's the one thing I hate about D23. They talk about, oh, new trailers, and it's like they only show some of them, like, on YouTube, but like, and then some of them are like, they're just talked about, like, they sit on them. Like, why? You release, like, all these other trailers, but why not do this?
I don't even need a trailer. I wouldn't watch it if there was a trailer. I just need to know that it's coming.
No. But yeah, you got the Fortnite Disney villains if you want. I mean, they got all the X-Men right now currently in Fortnite, so it's like just a reminder of how huge that game still is. But I mean, it's fun. Like, it's not my thing, the Disney and the Marvel stuff, but like when there's that trailer they had with Ripley and and Sarah Connor, and like Ripley's fighting the Terminators in the trailer, and Sarah Connor's fighting the aliens, and they're like helping each other. I'm like, that's so cool, because you're never gonna get that in a film, but I gotta see it in an awesome cutscene, for one of their seasons. But it's like outside of that, or like then I think like at one point there's like Kratos and Master Chief are like fighting side by side or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's fun to watch when you like the stuff that's there, or to play as those characters when you run around. Like,
I mean, didn't you? I feel like you even got excited about like John Wick and Fortnite way back when.
Well, yeah, because they had a knockoff John Wick in season 2 of their battle pass, or maybe it was season 3, and like I forget what they called him, but he was like people knew he was John Wick, like clearly, like his pickaxe was a pencil, which was really funny on the end of like a protractor or something. But it was like, it's like, yeah, this is, if you have him, that means you ground out the battle pass XP and got him, and then later when they actually added John Wick, I was like, oh, I gotta get him. And they even had funny little like trailers where like John Wick, the Keanu Reeves was walking down an alleyway, and then the season 2 John Wick walks up, and like then they both like aim the guns at each other, and like it fades to black. It's just like, very meta. But like yeah, I was like, I gotta get that John Wick. Or like I bought the Kratos. I wasn't even playing Fortnite that much, and I was like, give me the Kratos skin. I want it. But yeah, it's I mean, I hopped in there a while ago. It's still, it's one of those games that like I sometimes will go back to for a little bit. Buddy of mine is playing it, and I hop in there and just mess around. It's still fun to do that. But yeah, that's it for the news. Again, not a whole lot. Go ahead and move into what we've been playing. So I know, Isley, you finished. I don't remember if you finished it this week or last week. I think last week you finished.
I finished last week.
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2.
Did you get are you going to go for the platinum in that game?
I did. So I went back and I did get the platinum. It wasn't that much work. First of all, I can't believe I didn't realize there wasn't chapter select, which really would have thrown me off had I not realized it, or had I not been like an obsessive saver. But I had a bunch of saves right before the point of no return for Saga and Alan, so I went back to those points of no return once I realized what was required for the platinum, and it was pretty easy. I could find everything at that point. But yeah, I went back. I got the platinum. I didn't have much to do. I think I was missing like one video for Alan that I had to trigger, and then I was missing like one cultist stash or something that I just overlooked. So that was fun. I enjoyed the game. I'm excited about the second DLC. I did watch the YouTube video for the final draft. I don't think I'm going to replay it. The YouTube video, one, spoiled it for me, but two, it just seems like very small changes for replaying what was essentially like came out to like a 30-hour game or something for me. It wasn't as quick as Alan Wake 1. So I don't know. Maybe in the future at some point I'll replay it, like before like a Control 2 comes out or something like that. Maybe I'll go back and I'll play the final draft of Alan Wake 2 as like my reminder replay of the game. But no, I enjoyed the game a lot. I liked it a lot more than Alan Wake 1. It felt like what Alan Wake 1 wanted to feel like. It was a weird combination of like Silent Hill vibes, Evil Within vibes. The open world aspects of both Saga and Alan were really cool. I kind of talked about this with you, but like the last hour of the game and how the story wraps up is so weird to me. And I understood what they were going for. And I just feel like the first like 95% of the game was a way tighter storyline than the last 5% of the game, which was a little bit of a chaotic mess.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it definitely feels like, okay, we gotta wrap it up, but we have some pretty big ideas about how things are going. And
like spoilers, for a little bit, but the whole concept of the Bullet of Light coming into play and killing Alan, and Alan is Scratch, which the whole Alan is Scratch thing, I don't understand why it had to be such a big secret, because I thought it was pretty obvious from the get-go that like Scratch was Alan possessed. Like it didn't feel like it needed to be some huge, great big secret or reveal, and then it was, with Alan realizing that he's Scratch and that he's the evil one, and I'm like, well, no shit, dude. What did you think? Like, obviously. Um, and there's just like there's a lot they throw at you in the last 5% that's clearly meant to hook you for future games that isn't explained. And I don't love that method of storytelling where they build up a really solid story and then they just throw a ton of new things at you to get you hooked for a future sequel. So, like, the Bullet of Light coming somewhat out of nowhere, that one is kind of like low tier, but is a little bit weird. Alan is Scratch being a reveal as opposed to something that should have just been, in my opinion, assumed throughout the game of like, why is Alan evil now? What's going on? That would have worked better. And then like Thomas Zane being both crazy and a different character than Alan Wake 1 and looking exactly like Alan Wake. And, Torn Odin throughout the entire game calling him Tom. Like they're obviously just setting that up for a future reveal that either Thomas Zane is Alan Wake, many other loops down the spiral or something in the opposite direction, or that Thomas Zane is like a relative of Alan Wake or something. But it doesn't feel necessary. Like that's kind of the same reveal that they did with Scratch. So the whole Thomas Zane also looking identical to Alan Wake and acting similar to Alan Wake just seems like a repetition of a reveal that they already did sort of in American Nightmare and in Alan Wake 2, and it seems like they're maybe going to do it again in the future and in Final Draft. So it's a lot of like repetition of themes, which usually I would consider like good storytelling, but because it's all introduced so rapidly near the end of Alan Wake 2, it doesn't feel that way to me.
Yeah, and there's stuff still that like is never answered. Like when Tornado would just walk into the lake, like that's
they just
resolved.
disappear.
The phone call that Alan.
They do explain that in Final Draft from the YouTube video I watched, that they go to I don't know if you saw this, but like they go to the dark place after they walk into the lake, and then they get lost and just perform a concert in the dark place, and then they got distracted.
Is that like one of the, you find like a piece of paper that says that on the?
No, they're apparently they're sitting in the dark place next to the Sheriff Breaker. And like when you go up to talk to them, they're on the bench and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got distracted performing a concert. Glad you made it." And like that's the only reveal comment thing that has them.
But then I don't think that phone call that you get is that clearly it's from you, but like you don't make it in the playthrough. And because I was curious if that shows up in like the Final Draft. Like I guess when I read it, I didn't, at the time there was no information about Tornodon being there. But because
the phone call doesn't really show up in Final Draft, which is another element of the like, they're going with this whole loop spiral thing, and they're like, okay, maybe Thomas Zane is Alan Wake, Scratch is Alan Wake, but then it's like this phone call, and he's like, oh, it's not Thomas Zane or Scratch, it's this one is me, and it's like, what, like just what?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the game a lot. I think I struggle a lot of times when games just don't stick the landing, and I don't necessarily think that this game stuck the ending quite perfectly. But still a very good game. Enjoyed it a lot. Would absolutely like play it again in the future.
Yeah. I wish that, again, I talked before, but like that they had done a little more with that spiral concept and had bigger changes. I felt like, again, making it very much that Starfield route of having the New Game Plus be different enough because it makes sense because New Game Plus makes sense in that story, just like it does in Starfield. So it's like, I wish they could have done a little more there, but obviously that would have taken more dev time. And
I kind of agree. Like it would have been really cool if the New Game Plus element of it was, I don't know, just had more different things happen throughout of gameplay. Whereas it seems like most of the changes in New Game Plus were one or two lines of dialogue in like a cutscene, and nothing actually really changed in gameplay.
Yeah, a couple different, the wording in some of the paper you can find of the manuscript. It's like, okay, but yeah, not enough. That's why I was like, the ending wasn't changed enough. Yeah.
But I'm excited for the next DLC, and in Alan Wake 1, my favorite DLC was the final DLC. Like, the gameplay was still pretty rough, just to be clear. I didn't love the gameplay of it, but I did like kind of the themes that it started to tackle, which were pretty similar to Alan Wake. Just the DLC actually tackled like the dark place and the influence it has over the world, and it kind of made you like confront that. And that's what Alan Wake 2 did then, which was really fun. But I'm hoping the second DLC for this maybe starts tackling the outstanding questions. I would really like it to actually like answer a few things before going into the next game, instead of just setting up like 30 different unknowns. You don't need like 30 different cliffhangers. Just find like one good one and stick with it.
Yeah. I haven't played the Night Springs DLC yet. I figured I was gonna wait till like all the DLC was out. That way I can play it, get used to it again, and do all that.
Yeah, I haven't played Night Springs yet. I will, but not yet. I need a little bit of a break, tackle some new different game first.
Yeah. But yeah, I despite the lackluster NG Plus and the initial kind of like, okay, there's no ending here. Especially because like I think they patched it in later. Like there was the New Game Plus wasn't available immediately. So that was kind of annoying too. That's another reason I also didn't want to like just go right into it. But yeah, it's like I still had a lot of fun with that game.
Oh yeah, still a great game. Way better than the first one. If you played 2 first, there's no chance in hell you're ever going back and playing 1, because it's so much rougher. Like so much rougher. But yeah, good game. There are some things I wish they brought back from 1. Like 1 has these swarms of birds that attack you, and you can only fend them off with like a flashlight. And the concept in 1 is kind of annoying or the gameplay in 1 is kind of annoying, but I do think it would have been cool to have the birds come back and attack you. That was it was like a Hitchcock birds thing. Like you had to melt away enough birds with your flashlight before the dark presence dissipated in them. And I feel like if they did that similar to how they did the wolves, that would have been really cool. Just like occasional swarms of birds is like an environmental problem you have to deal with. Okay, I will say one other thing with Alan Wake, and this happens with all horror games, but especially with Alan Wake. I hoarded my flares like a madman, because in the first Alan Wake, flares were basically like rockets. They were the rocket launcher of the game. And Alan Wake 2, when you get like 75% of the way through Alan Wake's story, every single instance you play as him basically resets your ammo count, so you just never get the flares back. Like every battle you go into in the final 25% of the game, something happens that resets his ammo count and equipment. And I was like, well, fucking why did I save him? I thought there was going to be some like final boss confrontation with him. And there are final confrontations. You just don't get any of your gear for it. So I was kind of pissed off about that.
Huh. I guess I never noticed. Yeah, because I just ended up like, you get so much shit, like I just throw them all into the storage. And like I hardly ever used flares. Like I wasn't even like hoarding them. It's just like I don't use these really, so I'm just gonna put them in storage.
Anti-hoarding measures.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, because there were bits in that game where like you have like a lot of they give you like a lot of stuff, and then it's like suddenly get to one section where like you burn through everything, and it's like, oh great, now I have hardly anything, or I don't have now I'm short on meds, or this and that or whatever. And it's like,
I burned through Saga's crossbow bolts in like the second chapter of the game, and then you just like never find more, which was kind of unfortunate. Well, I was picking them up, but like the crossbow bolts, I don't know, they're just
missed too much.
Well, apparently, no, a lot of times they just break. But more than anything else in the game, that was like the one piece of ammo that didn't get replenished. And then like I went into the fight, the concert fight that you had, which by the way is like way near the end of the game. I can't believe you thought that's where I was. And I think I had like 40 shotgun ammo, and I had like 1 crossbow bolt.
That's funny. Yeah, because I love the crossbow because it was so strong. Just like, especially I think you can upgrade it to hold 2 arrows. Yeah. And so I was like, this thing is just OP because you could just pick up the ammo. So I'm like, all right.
Well, but not always. Like sometimes the ammo breaks. So like it wasn't 100% the ammo is saved.
I think you can upgrade it to be, or you can find like whether like those runes or the symbols or something, like you can upgrade it in such a way that like the percentage is super low. Cause like I never had a problem. I eventually had to drop it out when she starts getting more weapons.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not using it anymore now, but like in the beginning, like it was great because it was essentially for me, it was like the infinite ammo weapon.
Right.
Just get the headshots and
Oh yeah,
they're
really
done.
good in the beginning.
But yeah, I always like any game that lets you collect arrows back after you shoot an enemy with them. But what about you, Zai? I haven't seen you on Discord that much.
I haven't been on Discord that much. I've basically just been playing a little bit of Fantasy XIV after work every day. I finished leveling Reaper. I'm working on Dragoon now just to get rid of all of that Baming leveling gear out of my inventory because I have no inventory space thanks to another expansion's worth of glamour that I can hoard. So I basically just been doing that. I'll hop on 14, do some roulettes and maybe some fates and stuff for a little bit. But other than that, I haven't really been playing very much. I did try to play Zenless Zone Zero, the new Hoyoverse game, on my tablet, and my tablet had an aneurysm, and I decided this is not a game that I can play on my tablet or maybe even my phone. So I am either going to have to play it on PlayStation or somehow make room on my hard drive to download and play it. I just haven't done that yet. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really been playing very much this week. It's just been so goddamn hot that like by the time I get home, I kind of just lay on the floor for a little while and like I'm just gonna exist here for a little bit. And then I play a little bit of 14 and then I take a shower and go to bed. So
there you go. I feel
that's pretty much it. I have been watching I've been watching a lot of little Aggie's challenge runs through the Elden Ring DLC. And he did a run of using only throwing items, like pots and craftable items and stuff. And I'm a little bit mad that he was able to beat the final boss with just throwing items, and I can't do it with a whole ass build in my Mimic. And I was just like, God damn it, maybe I need to try this again.
That's funny.
I was like, God damn it, why? What am I doing wrong? So I may be using up another larval tier, and fuck it, maybe just doing throwing items. I don't fucking know.
That's right, do throw.
It's just like, this boss sucks.
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then throw in a dance pad. And be hit that way.
Seriously.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to Elden Ring myself yet. I've been been replaying Bloodborne because a streamer small streamer I watch who I helped beat, Liza P. I had like a vote between a couple games, and I had a bunch of channel points, so like I put a bunch of extra votes into Bloodborne. I was like, play Bloodborne, and then I like watch it and play Bloodborne. I was like, now I want to play Bloodborne, so I started playing it. And I was talking to Discord, but like it's weird. I guess if you have like the Old Hunters DLC, which I had to re-download Bloodborne, but I don't remember asking me, hey, do you want to download the Old Hunters DLC as part of that? But when I downloaded it, it was part of that PS4 collection. As far as the SKU on the store, I don't remember if that ever got bundled in together, because like I noticed, there's a bunch of summons that are from the Old Hunters, and like you can summon not Gurman. You can summon Father Gascoigne in the first area of Yharnam, like just to walk around with you, which is so weird. It's like you summon the Old Hunter Bell, yada yada, and like I was like, man, and there's like in the Cathedral Ward, you can summon another person there, like up the stairs. I'm like, I don't remember this at all. So I'm like, I guess because when I had the DLC, I just like I got the eyeball and then just went straight to the Cathedral Ward and got picked up by the thing to take me to the DLC. So I never noticed that there was just all these extra random summon spots because of that. But yeah, replaying that was a lot of fun. And then I had one bit where I was like, I went up into Eosefka's clinic and like she's like, get out of here. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna kill you. And so we fought. And I was like, well, I know she drops an umbilical cord if I wait. And I was like right there at Bergenworth. And I was like, let me look and just double check, because from my memory serves, there's 4 umbilical cords, and obviously you only need 3. And I'm like looking at this Extra Life entry, and for some reason the way the website was worded made it sound like I only had access to 3, and because I killed her, like I screwed myself. So I was like convinced that I messed up. I'm like, damn it. I was like, okay, well, let's go back. I had a cloud save from the night before. I was like, I'll just download that and not kill her and just wait till I kill Rom. And then I like downloaded it, and as it was downloading and overriding my save, I read it again and like through the wording, and I'm like, no, this is wrong. I do have access to the other three, and I don't know why it read like I messed up, but it was just like maybe it was, I don't know, maybe I was tired or something, whatever. But it was just like, damn it, and I just wasted time by downloading this save I didn't need to do. And it's funny, like the streamer I watch, like because he's playing with on the PS5, there's so many times where like he'll just shoot the gun because the triggers on the controller. And I've done it so many times when I'm in the hunter's dream where I'll just like have the control on my leg, but I go to pick it up and just like bam, and I just shoot it. Doll's like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like,
but times I accidentally shot the doll, I feel so bad.
There's I forget the character's name, but the church NPC who wants to kill the Vile Bloods at Castle Canehurst, and he's standing there, in Cathedral Ward, like praying, and he walks up to him and talks to him, and he accidentally hit the attack, and he hit him, and the guy aggroes immediately, and so he couldn't actually talk to the guy. He just got into a fight with him, which is so funny. He's like, I'm like, well, you just lose on that side quest, not a big deal, but oh well. For some reason I thought if you killed him, he drops an invitation to Canehurst, because there are two, but I guess he wasn't the one that drops the second one, because like obviously there's the one in Iosefka's clinic, which is why I went there, because I was going to go grab it. But I was like, there's a second one though somewhere. But yeah, it's I
thought the second one was like where the actual like. I don't feel like it was killing anyone. I thought it was just like a random trolley spot or a carriage spot, and then like the carriage leaves and it's like a piece of paper on the ground inviting you. I thought something like that, but it's been a long time since I played.
Yeah. So there's, let's see. Now I gotta look it up.
I've only ever done the one in the clinic.
Yeah. There's let's just tell me. Yeah, just tell me about Iosefka's clinic, which I already know, but I could have swore there was a second one somewhere. And I thought he originally, my memory was that like he's like, hey, I want to go kill these people, I need you to come with me, or like someone gives it to you. But man, it was so funny when I was like trying to figure out how do I get to the Forbidden Woods, and I was like, I know it's in Cathedral Ward, and I can't go there until after I beat Vicramilia. But then I'm like, but where is it? And I'm like, I kept running around, I couldn't find it, and I was like, I just forgot that it was like, the giants that are the sleeping giant in the courtyard, and it's like he's blocking a little archway that you run through to go get it. I was like, there it is. Damn it. But yeah, it is fun replaying that. Did Rom? I'm in Yahar'gul Unseen Village. It was funny, like I wanted to see him get kidnapped, the streamer, when he first go into, not get kidnapped, but get killed. When you first go into Cathedral Ward and you grab the armor that's behind one of the gravestones, like that's one of the spots you can get picked up. That's where you get picked up for the DLC. But he didn't get grabbed, and he didn't even pay attention to the sound that was made. But later, I did catch on the VOD when he went to the right side down to the old church that leads to Yahar'gul Unseen Village. He did go knock on that door or try to open it, and then get picked up and get killed. He's like, yeah, some ghost killed me. I was like, yeah, I saw it. And I'm like, and then later I'm like, okay, don't forget to, okay. And I was trying to give him to, okay, what you want to do? You got to go talk to the guy in the Cathedral Ward, because he didn't talk to the dude that's there that tells him to go tell people about the place. So like, go talk to the lady in the night behind the door. Go put on some, cathedral gear. Go talk to the lady in the prison, because he did get kidnapped by the kidnapper, which I thought was funny. So I was there to witness that. And then he's like, he couldn't leave the prison area, and I was like, that's right, you're stuck until you get to the lantern.
Jail for you.
That's right. And I got to go back and kill the boss there, because I didn't do that. I just I went there on purpose just to run through it, and then I was like, got the lantern. I was like, all right, let's get out of here and get all the items and then get out. But yeah, and then when I went to the Nightmare Frontier from the lower section of the school, I was like, it's like, oh, the Sinister Bell's ringing. I was like, oh, Doc, damn it. I was like, okay, I don't know how, I could see a lot of ghosts. Like, clearly there's people playing this game. I don't know how many are purposely trying to invade other players. So I'm like, I'm going to quit, play offline, and then go back in, because I don't want to deal with that right now. which is funny. I was like, damn. I forgot like how much in that game if you put one of the runes on that turns your weapon to bolt or fire damage, like just how much more damage you do, even though you're not leveled in Arcane, especially if you go like strength or dex or whatever. Because I was around the school like farming some of the students there, real quick, just because I was like, I forget, I was watching something, so I'm like, okay, I'll just do this, get a couple levels, and then it's like, yeah, like they just die in one hit, where it takes like 2 hits to fight with my normal strength build, and I'm like, okay, I'll just keep bolt on and swap between these two, and then if I put points into Arcane, it's just gonna raise that damage even more. I'm like, I don't know why you wouldn't use one of these runes on your weapon, but I guess if you wanted to do our actual Arcane damage.
I think it's like every Souls game where bolt and that do a shit ton of damage at lower level builds and things like that. And then if you have a min-maxed optimized build, it technically does less, but it takes a while to get there.
Well, I mean, at this point in the game, like it's super far along. I'm level 60, I think. It's just like if I only put points in, like I was just putting points in the strength, because I'm like, okay, as the one stacks, I'm like, I'm just using the saw cleaver, yada yada yada. But yeah, like even the low level damage, just because so many enemies are weak to fire or bolt. The only reason I think you wouldn't do that is because once you get the slug or whatever it is that lets you put Arcane on your weapon, like that's the only reason, because then you have to keep as your strength stat to put, you can't have it be fire or bolts, because it won't override. But it's also so weird, like you can't, there's so many things about the game that's so funny, like you can't respec, there's having to go to each of the lanterns, back to the hub, very Demon Souls, but even in Demon Souls later on you get the ability just to teleport to anywhere from anywhere, just not in Bloodborne. And how long Gurman is gone, like you talk to him, he's like, oh yada yada this and that, oh you found it, go to the chalice, the tomb of the gods, yada yada, and then he just bounces and he's like, all right, like I always around like, is he sleeping, because he's always sleeping in like the garden area, but no, he's just gone. It's like, yeah, he's just gone the whole time. Wait for me to do some shit. But yeah, it's fun. I'll probably get done with that eventually. And then I was just playing some No Man's Sky as well. My cousin started re-download that, started a new game on PS5. We've been doing that co-op. It's pretty fun co-op. It's weird that you can't I can't always see him if we're in different regions. Like I have to, like I load in near him when I first get in there, but like if he goes someplace far away, it's kind of a pain. Also, he had a second base, and like I can see it on the teleporter. It's like, oh, downloading the data, because I haven't been to that planet yet, so it wants to like preload the planet information and whatever his base is, but it kept airing out. I'm like, okay, it must be a online issue, so I can't go to that base unless I flew there, because it was just on the planet right next to us. But yeah, it just wouldn't let me teleport there, which was kind of annoying.
Weird.
But yeah, that's funny. I wish I could see when I timestamp this up, because I don't think I talked about. Let me go to details. No details. When, date and time. This is Sunday. Must have been Sunday night. No, that's not. This doesn't help. That's today, motherfucker. I was like, I wish I could see when I wrote this note. But I had like one bit, again, if I talk about this, my bad. Where I was playing solo, and it's like someone had talked about like, hey, if we'll trade in this certain type of material, but clearly it's like you can only get it if like you destroy or raid someone. Like, we don't condone it, but we'll trade in it. Like, okay, whatever. And then like I'm flying around shooting some asteroids for some resources just to get some money, and I see like this freighter just kind of floating there, and then I see like a bunch of the ships float towards the freighter. I'm like, oh, are they like raiding ships? Are they gonna go raid that freighter? And then I go closer, and there's like this floating like container near it, and the container has a gun symbol with like a little circle, a white circle around it. I'm like, okay, clearly you want me to shoot this, because that's why I'm here. So I start shooting it. It blows up, and then it's like, oh, Sentinels are angry at you now. They're coming for you. And I'm like, what? I was like, why did you put the thingy on there? And then the Sentinels warped in, and you can't warp when they're attacking you, so I got to fight them. And then they killed me in space eventually, because there's just too many of them.
Oh yeah, and they never stop unless you run away. They just get stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and then I had one funny bit where I was down on a planet, and I was exploring, and it had one of those little like I call it like a little station or something. And you find one in the tutorial, but the door's open. and it's like where they teach you to find some stuff that you need to get off the planet, what have you. And I get down there, there's a door, it's locked, and it has a gun logo on it. I'm trying to shoot with my gun, but my gun's not strong enough to do any damage to the door. It's like, yeah, I'll just get my ship and fly at it and shoot it. And so then I shoot the door off, but I guess there must have been a sentinel around, and they didn't like that. So they're like, oh no, you got a bounty on you now. And I'm like, again? I was like, damn it. And they fucking sentinels warp in, and I couldn't speed warp out because I was still in the atmosphere, so I couldn't do that. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch. They got me again eventually. But that was funny, those guys. But yeah, it is fun. Like once you get that hub with all the other players and stuff, that's fun. And then I'm trying to get my cousin to get there as well. I like how I was trying to figure out like how do I get back to that freaking anomaly station, and like I couldn't see it on the map or anywhere in the system map, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like I realized, oh, you have to summon it in. I was like, oh, okay, just like you do with your freighter. I was like, you just summon in the anomaly wherever you are, and there you go. It makes sense because it's just an instance space station. So I'm like, okay. Because once you fly through the door, it's like I'm clearly teleported to some place that's probably like 1 billion light years away.
Yeah, that was a change from the original where you did actually have to find it, and it would only show up in like every third system or something like that. But they changed it so you could summon it in because people wanted to go there, and that was the hub for all of the like co-op stuff.
Yeah. Digital Foundry was talking about that, like they back when they announced this update that changed the water and whatnot, the world's update. They're like, oh, we wish we can go back and see like the launch vanilla version, do like comparisons, but they're saying like might be hard to find. Don't know if it's going to make you update the game if you can play it offline initially, yada yada. And you probably won't be able to do it. And like maybe they could reach out. They're like, oh, maybe we can reach out to the team there and talk to them about it. But I was like, man, that would be kind of cool if they had like that. Halo Master Chief Collection where like you could toggle the old graphics with the new. I wish I can like land on a planet and like turn off all the updates at all at once. See like what would this planet look like without it? Like is all this plant life like part of an update that's here? Like obviously the water looking really good are
basically
these animals?
Yes.
Like yeah, like how much of what I'm doing is from an update? Because I have no point of reference for vanilla. And like, I guess I could go back and like find someone who was playing. That's what I should do. I just find someone who plays No Man's Sky, like the vanilla version of it. Because obviously I know like some of the main storylines that you have, like the 3 that I got going on. Like, I know some of them are part. Like one was part of the Atlas update, so I know that's different. And I think there's another one, but like I know those are new stuff. But I'm like, the freighter obviously is new. So like when it tells you to go fly through a black hole, and then you immediately find a freighter. It's like okay, now you're a captain.
The honest answer is basically everything you're doing is new. Like the game went through such an overhaul that almost every single thing you're doing is new. So they had like an update that revamped how the worlds looked because people were like, these worlds have nothing on them. They have like 2 trees on them and otherwise they're just rocks. They updated water so that there were actually like plants and animals underwater. The storyline to begin with, there was like there wasn't really a storyline. The storyline was go to the center of the universe.
Yeah.
But they didn't instruct you how to really. They just kind of, that was your goal, was to go to the center of the universe, and you would go from Atlas Station to Atlas Station, and then you'd go far enough, and then you'd go to the center of the universe because you'd get like a warp there. There was like the branching quests for freighters, for bases, the holographic thing from Artemis. All of that was new. So like, this is why I'm constantly amazed by the game is like basically every single thing you are playing is new, because when the game came out, it was just a shell of a game and there was essentially no story to speak of.
Basically the only thing that you were really chasing were the anomaly stations. So you would chase the anomaly stations to do like that kind of Atlas stuff. But once you found the last station, it was just kind of like, it didn't really answer anything, and it was just kind of this mystery, and it was like, okay, now find the center of the universe. And then there was a kind of side story thing that you could discover with I don't know what they were called. They were like corrupted or abandoned warehouses or something like that, and they were almost always underwater on different planets. And every time you found one, you had to solve a little puzzle, and it would give you a little bit more of like this weird like time dilation story thing. But those were really the only story related things that were in vanilla. It was mostly just, I treated it just as like a chill out exploration kind of game. Like I would just go to a planet and I would scan all the things, gather resources for anything that I needed to craft, and then after a while I kind of finished all of that, and then there used to be the way that you got upgraded ships was every time you found a broken ship, if you repaired it, it would have more slots than the ship that you had. So you could basically just go and find these like broken down, crashed ships and repair it, and you would have more storage slots. So you would do that until you had max storage, and then you could just fly around and try to find like a ship that you wanted and repair that and go. So that's how I have my I basically have on my PlayStation save, I have like the cover ship, the red one that looks like a sports car kind of ship, but it has max storage space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my legacy ship, because I basically did that exploit at the very end of when I was playing.
And even the story she's mentioning of like trying to find the weird corrupted time dilation pieces was eventually rewritten and is now the Sentinel storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So even that was totally scrapped and redone completely. So like every single story you're playing is new.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. It's more guided than it was. Basically, you kind of just had to like find it and figure it out, or you just treat it like I did, where it was just like, I'm just gonna zone out and fly around for a little bit and stuff like that. So it's like that old content is still in the game. It's just it's been rewritten to be like actual content now.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing like the old videos, like, oh, what happens when you get to the center of the universe? Like I remember watching those way back in the day.
Yeah, what happens? And nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, not much. But
what happens when you find the last anomaly?
You're back at the start, and the world is ever so slightly different.
I wonder if someone has like a compilation of like a minute clip of every update, like doing stuff. Like, here's a minute of vanilla. Here's a minute of whatever the next big update was. Here's a minute of next. Here's a minute of Atlas. Here's a minute of this. Like,
that would be cool, actually.
That'd be fun just to see like the evolution of No Man's Sky over the course of time.
I mean, it was like it was just a really fucking rough game at the start.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they do free updates now, because when the game came out, everybody was like, what the fuck is this? This is not what you promised us.
Man,
they do all the free updates now.
I installed a mod on my ship that's like a teleport mod, which from the description made it sound like, oh, I could teleport stuff to and from the ship from long distances. Because that's the problem. Like if I go run off exploring, I'm like, oh, I want to send this stuff back to my ship's storage because I'm full on my inventory or whatever. And it's like, oh, your ship's too far away. I'm like, then why did I get that mod? Like, I don't understand why.
It.
I did, but I like, what's the range on it? Is it like, oh, you can go from 10 feet to 200 feet, like, or whatever their unit of measure is? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, but
I honestly don't even know how it works now, because like the last time I played it was probably 6 updates ago, and even then it was like, okay, well the ships are different now. I guess you have to get these upgrades and you could like link them together, kind of like you did in vanilla. You could get like, you could stack your upgrades, but now it was like you link them together and you can extend the range or extend the efficiency of certain things and stuff like that. But I don't even know if that's how it works anymore. But
yeah, I need to find just like I did look at like a best upgrade tip thing.
Yeah, there's like an optimal layout that you have for pretty much everything now.
Yeah.
If it was vanilla, you could just make like 3 of those and stack them together, and it would extend the range.
Yeah, kind of.
Or it would, for some reason, shorten it because fuck vanilla, right?
It's like scan room upgrades in Subnautica. I found a planet. That's funny speaking of Subnautica, because I found a planet that was like, oh, it's hostile with ancient bones, and I was like, okay. So I went down. It was like a bunch of water, and I found like this little tiny island to land on, and I'm like, all right, they said it's hostile. Let's go in the water now. And I'm like, I'm in the water. It's like, it was super hot outside. It's like, I guess I'll go in the water so I'm not losing, protection, thermal protection. And I go in the water and like, I see some fish. I scan them, but they're friendly. I'm like, okay. And I'm like swimming around, but I'm like you said it was a hostile planet, and I realized this is like before I realized when they just mean hostile, they just mean weather conditions.
Mhm.
And then it was like I'm in the water. I'm like, is there going to be like some big fish trying to kill me in here? But luckily it was all chill. I was like, okay, we're good. But
Sometimes.
yeah, I'm sure there are some. I like it. I have been on a couple planets with hostile aliens, but typically they're always like, "Yo, give me some food. You can ride on me." And I'm like, "Yes, you controlling you's a little weird. I don't."
I mean, it's just like real life, am I right?
Yeah, you know how it usually works. Passing this hard through his stomach, right? Feed me. But yeah, it is fun to play. Just to run around,
Mhm.
Mess around stuff. But yeah, I gotta work on getting more. The multiple currency things annoys me, but I gotta work on getting more nanites so I could get some proper like planetary vehicles, and then I can like drive around and not have to worry about running around everywhere. I also will need to upgrade my jetpack so it lasts longer because I love
Mhm.
that little. That was like one of the times where like a beginner tip video was like actually super helpful. Is that the jetpack boost where you melee and then jetpack like immediately
Does that
and like
still work?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does still work.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And it's
god, that's how
so
I got around
good.
in vanilla.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's-
much better. They
it's
left
so
it
good.
in because people loved it so much. But
I-
yeah, it still works.
I love sprinting off like at the edge of a cliff and then just doing that, using all my jetpack fuel until the very end right before I hit the ground, and then just use a little bit. That way, I only take a slight bit of damage from that forward
Uh-huh.
momentum, but it's so good.
Yeah, that was a bit of drama when the game came out because people are like, the best way to travel is just by melee jetpacking instead of like any of the other means of travel you want us to use.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Does it
like
still have that glitch where it's like if you jetpack up the side of a cliff just right, you get infinite jetpack?
No.
I don't know.
Oh,
They have so
well,
many planets now that give you infinite jetpack.
Well, you
Mm.
always got infinite jetpack going up a cliff just right.
Mm.
So you still kind of get that because it tries to reset and it doesn't want you
Yeah,
to like
yeah, yeah.
plummet to your death. So you still kind of get that, but it is
okay.
a little different now.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Those are two things for how I got around in vanilla.
Oh, for sure.
There's like always plants where like it's a jetpack plant. You just consume it. It's like, oh, you got like infinite jetpack and increased boost. I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's go.
Oh, that's
So, like,
way
they're
more
all over.
convenient.
Yeah.
I'm surprised like how little oxygen there is on planets. Like I used to hate the.
well,
It's
the
only because
farmable
you're at the
resource.
start and you don't have all the upgrades. Once you have all the upgrades, oxygen is like a non-issue.
mhm.
Well, it's not even oxygen for my character. It's just oxygen, just or the resource in general. Like it's not like I'm like, oh man, I need more oxygen. It's just like I noticed that like initially I got a bunch of it from the tutorial bits, and now it's like whenever I go to a planet, it's like there's carbon everywhere, which is great because that's the fuel source. But I'm like, there's no oxygen really. It's like, oh, a little oxygen plant you can farm. It's like that. I've started to love planets with like dangerous fauna or flora. It's like okay, you have vicious Venus flytrap plants. I'm gonna kill them for that oxygen, and you can shoot them from like a mile away too. But so that's great. But I'm just like surprised, like damn, there's like no. I think it's because I was doing an upgrade, and like an upgrade recipe required oxygen to do something, and I was like, that's when I realized, like, damn, I haven't gotten oxygen in a while because like this is gonna drain a bunch of it out. But
It must be more abundant than it used to be because it used to be a super rare resource. Even like when I played several updates in a while ago, it was still super rare resource. I don't know why, but
yeah, I wish I could. I mean, it's not like the main thing you need. Like there are some other things you can, and like you don't need it to like heal yourself. You could just make the med packs or whatever they are, like the other stuff. It's just oxygen was like a nice, again, much like carbon, because carbon's fucking everywhere. It's like obviously everything's carbon based, but it's like, yeah, I'm surprised like there isn't as much. Like I'll scan, especially in the other sodium too. It's like I'm like surprised sometimes like how much stuff requires sodium and how not much there is. Or it's like there's sodium and there's like sodium nitrite and like two different ingredients. But I the one thing I hate that I wish I could change is like I love Subnautica how when I look down my list of what I could do, like it's you just scroll it and it's all categorized like, hey, here's food, here's animals, here's whatever, here's vehicle upgrades, here's this. Like it's all there. This I have to go into like a list of like raw materials. Here's everything you found. Exotic rugged materials. Here's everything. Like I just wish it was one long scrolling, just let me scroll everything kind of list. But That's one of my complaints. I wish that was a little more optimized, but I'm sure there's probably like a mod out there, but I'm not going to go through all that. But yeah, it's again, it's nice, fun, chill game just to run around semi-freighter on a mission. I like games that I don't like all games to do it, but I like games where it's like you can send something out, it's like a time mission, and it'll happen in the background while you're not playing the game. That was like my favorite part of the Far Cry 3 multiplayer is like you get these little like things that you have to like data packets you have to decode, like either hard drives or USB flash drives, and like it was a mobile app you had that went along with it, companion app. That was all the rage back in the PS3 era. And I would just be like at the movies and be like, oh, let's decode some of these, and the movie's done. I get like a little bonus thing, be like bonus XP or like weapon stuff or whatever. I'm like, hell yeah! It's like it was always fun to do because I didn't have to do anything except just click a button. But anyway, all right. Well, I don't have any other notes here, so we'll go ahead and just wrap it up there then. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in and listening. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you so much for joining.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you all next time.
Later.
Bye.